There is a projection of King with Ralph Abernathy as King becomes Spirit of King.
Ralph and I arrived in Memphis to work more on the campaign. We both checked into room 306 of the Lorraine Motel. The room overlooked the courtyard parking lot and a covered swimming pool. By late afternoon, I was in one of my moods again. I had to address a rally at Mason Temple, but I didn't want to go. There was a tornado watch and heavy rain was forecast. I felt that only a few people would turn out because of the weather. Anyway, I was too tired to go out, so I sent Ralph to speak in my place. I tried to relax, but the phone rang. It was Ralph. 2,000 people were at the temple, and they wanted to see me. I still didn't want to go, but soon I found myself dressed and on my way. As I mounted the speaking platform, a nervousness came over me. I had not fully prepared for this, but there was Ralph.
Spirit of King becomes Dr. King as voice off stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
There's applause and action. Ralph Abernathy. He remains beside as King steps up to the podium and takes the mic.
Thank you very kindly, my friends. As I listened to Ralph Abernathy and his eloquent and generous introduction, and then thought about myself, I wondered who he was talking about. It's always good to have your closest friend and associate to say something good about you. And Ralph Abernathy is the best friend that I have in the world. I'm delighted to see each of you here tonight in spite of a storm warning. You reveal that you are determined to go on anyhow. Something is happening in Memphis. Something is happening in our world. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination, and let us move on. In these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. And we have an opportunity to make America a better nation. And I want to thank God for allowing me to be here with you. Now, it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Alabama this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We are sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane, and to be sure that all the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong with the plane, we had to check out everything carefully, and we had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got to Memphis, and someone began to say the threats or talk about the threats that were out, what would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
There is applause. King steps down, becomes spirit of king.
This moment proved to be therapeutic. I felt more at ease. That same night, I got word that my brother, A.D., was in town and staying at the same hotel. we stayed up all night talking. Over the years, we had grown to be very close. But still, he would never let me forget how I used to beat on him when we were younger. I ain't mean nothing by it. He was just there when I needed to hit something. The next day, my agenda was set. For lunch, Ralph and I had catfish, which I still couldn't cook, let alone catch. But the interesting thing about this was that the waitress arrived with the catfish all on one plate. Now, Ralph was a little irritated, but it didn't matter too much to me.
Becomes Dr. King as waitress enters.
Miss, I'm sorry how Mr. Abernathy there reacted, but he's always that way when it comes to food.
I didn't mean to act that way. I did either, Dr. King. I just get over emotional sometimes. I wanted to give you the best service possible, and I messed it up.
Young lady, your willingness to serve is the most important thing.
May I tell you something, Dr. King?
Yes, of course.
Well, oh, there's my elevator. Maybe some other time.
No, please, tell me.
Well, okay. At first, I didn't care too much for your nonviolent approach. Black power was my pride. I just looked at you as another time. But something happened to change this. I was one of the protesters on the streets of Memphis when the riot broke out and everybody was breaking glass and looting stores. And I have to admit, I was one of the looters. But when I saw your face, I dropped what I had. And somebody else ran off with it. But I didn't care. What I want to tell you is that I saw your face while all this was going on. Your expression was one of love and disappointment. At the time I didn't understand it, but now I do. All you ever wanted was for people to love each other. It was like all your service was in vain. I had realized you were committed, but now it became clear to me that commitment meant service. And because of your willingness to serve, I was able to eat in public places, sit any place on the bus I wanted, and go anywhere I wanted to go. God bless you, Dr. King.
He's the elevator.
I can't miss this one. I'm going to finish my service to you by bringing another plate for your fish.
Miss?
I'm Debbie.
Debbie, that's all right. We can eat out of the same plate.
Oh, good. Because my supervisor will kill me if he found out. I love you, Dr. King.
I love you too.
Bye.
He exits.